Colorado Congressman Joe Neguse says it's time to take action to prevent those attacks and to protect workers. So CBS 4's Justin Adams joins us from the newsroom. And Justin, you've had a chance to dive into these proposals.
Yeah, Mackenzie, this morning, Congressman Joe Neguse introduced a package of bills looking to prevent mass shootings, expand worker safety, and increase access to mental health and trauma resources. The bills are the Help for Healing Communities Act, which would create a new grant program to provide funding for mental health services for survivors of an active shooting or targeted violence. The next is the Stop Violence Act, which would provide federal funding towards preventative security measures at active shooting sites and public assembly facilities. The third is the Safe Workplaces Act, which directs OSHA to develop the best practices for employers to keep their workers safe from threats of violence, and prioritizing resources for victims of Firearms Act, which would provide assistance and mental health services to victims of gun violence. Now, these bills come a year after the mass shooting at the Table Mesa King Soopers in Boulder, where 10 people died. Neguse also acknowledged victims' needs after tragedies at Columbine and at the Aurora movie theater. He hopes that these new bills will prevent any more tragedies from happening in the future.
The legislation that we are announcing today is born from the deep anguish that we feel at each of these tragedies and the deep desire that we have to ensure that these tragedies don't happen again.
Now, last November, Congressman Neguse introduced the End Violence Act, which would restrict the sale of firearms to people convicted of violent misdemeanor crimes in the last 5 years. In the newsroom, Justin Adams, covering Colorado First.